start, homeboy.
HOBOFOPO is an acronym. It's Hobart's original folk punk orgy. The acronym came from Gareth. He was playing around with lots of different acronyms, trying to find one that was catchy and would explain a weekend with lots of folk punk gigs. The concept came, I guess there were a few bands that were approaching me saying they wanted to come and play in Tassie around November, and I thought, well, we'll just put them all in the one weekend, make a big deal about it and promote all the gigs as a whole. I think I was at the homestead watching Ryan and Gareth play. I mentioned to Gareth, geez, there's a lot of depth in folk punk in Hobart and a lot of different styles of folk punk in Hobart. We've got enough here to put on a festival. You know, we could have 5 or 6 gigs on one weekend and have enough artists to fill those gigs up. We ended up having, I think 9 acts from the mainland come down and 10 gigs over the 4 days. So we ended up with even more than what we thought.
Where I could drink in the van before a gig, come back and sleep and not be on a hill. But the only park that I could find, the whereabouts they brought to mind, some gigs we'd gone and seen at Marrickville, where Bly got drunk and played solo, so I put Coast Paint on the stereo. Now I miss going to shows with you, sing songs we know, it's true I miss singing bands with you. I've heard so many sounds, I swear I dance along, it doesn't listen great, and I'm missing listening to music with you.
Seen everything from just acoustic folk bands that play a little bit faster and louder, the more rowdy end of folk music, through to punk bands that might have a few, you know, Celt melodies thrown in. So they're 2 different ends of the spectrum, and then everything in between. We have the Celt punk bands, we do have the raucous folk music, and then we do also have a scene of bands calling themselves folk punk, which are sort of more your indie rock bands, but are focusing on sort of storytelling in their songs and have a slight folk element there, so that sort of falls into folk punk as well. Well, one of the main objectives was just to put on good gigs, because there would be a few interstate bands wanting to come down. We wanted them to have a good time in Hobart. Other objectives were to try and promote it as one event rather than 10 separate gigs, encourage people to buy a festival pass and go out to as many of the gigs as they could. It's also sort of based a little bit on the model of a folk festival, where all the bands roll into town, all the audience rolls in, and there's a lot of gigs, and the audience will choose the gigs they want to go to and immerse themselves in folk music for 3 or 4 days. That's sort of what we had planned for HOBOFOPO as well, that you'll end up with a good community of all the bands and all the audience hanging out if they're going to be settled in to get the most out of seeing a lot of gigs over several days. And, a lot of friendships are made, and a lot of people hang out together rather than just turning up to one gig and then leaving again.
When they made their final stand, now every gun in Broken Hill was in an angry hand. One stood up to surrender as his heart lay quite dead. When his plea was quickly answered with a bullet to his head, the anger of the township had blown up until it cracked. The German put to the ground and Islam were attacked. And once the word had spread next day, nation's blood did trail. The war wasn't cold hard truth. Yes, the war was a cold hard truth. Yes, the war was a cold hard truth. Since the
So we've seen 9 interstate acts come and meet 15 Tasmanian acts. And a lot of the interstate acts hadn't met each other, and a lot of the Tasmanian acts hadn't met the interstate acts. So the Dead Maggies had pretty much played with everyone on the bill. We've been touring around and we've met all these bands. We just put on a big weekend with all the bands that we've been playing with over the last couple of years. So we knew everyone, but there are a lot of bands that didn't know each other and met each other, and I think there's going to be some, good friendships.
How brilliant is that? Today I'm out the horse, bitch. Last night I felt like I was rich from all of these city lights and these barroom fights in the place where we go home. We share this city with the rats. How brilliant is that? Today I'm alcohol's bitch. Last night I felt like I was rich from all these city lights and these barroom fights in the place that we call home. We share this city with the rats. How brilliant is that? We share this city with the rats. How brilliant is that?
So we'll probably see a lot of these bands playing with each other more often now that these networks have been made, and I'm sure a band from Melbourne might have met a band from Brisbane, and now they know who to hit up next time they're going to Brisbane and they want help booking and promoting a gig up there. So just strengthening ties within the entire folk punk community.